and his face is just like, hey, whoa, whoa. It's poor, man. It's poor. He looks like the Red Rooster, Red Rooster's like WrestleMania outfit, man.
It's pretty terrible, man.
It looks diabolical, dude.
Well, it's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, it's Hulk Hogan's backstage bloody politics. Then Gonzalez does what every wrestler does at this point when he's losing. He gets out a rag with chlorophyll in it and sticks it on the Undertaker's face, and the Undertaker passes out.
Hello, and a very warm welcome back to this, the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast. I am a husky dom who's ill. If you see this is not a weird dodgy tissue. This is my snot rag that I'm using because I'm blowing my nose all the time because I feel gross. I feel like death. But I'm here for you guys and for you.
This is the first video that we filmed since you've come back from America. Did you enjoy America?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I did.
Good.
America was good. Boston is cold. This is not the reason I have the cold because I've been back for a while, but Boston is great. Lots of love to the Boston people that I hung out with. It's nice to be home in Hull, post City of Culture. Obviously, it's been post City of Culture for bloody ages, but it's nice to be home. It's nice to be in the area, in the zone, hanging out with you, with the wall.
Playing 2K with the famous wall behind us.
The famous wall.
Today we're looking at WrestleMania 9, Dom. We had to watch
9.
WrestleMania 9, man.
Dude, it wasn't that bad.
It's awful.
You're awful.
Really, really bad. I went in trying to be like positive, and it is so hard to be positive.
I'm going to bonsai drop you. A bonsai drop you.
Fair enough. So yeah, at the end of the video, we're going to talk about WrestleMania 9 today. At the end of the video, we're going to answer a question that we've had on our Facebook. If you want to ask us any questions, we'll be answering them at the end of the videos from now on.
We need to feel really important, and I need to feel really important because I feel like rubbish. So if you guys could, show us some love.
That'd be awesome.
I've got my guns out, it's because the sun's out in Hull today. Even though I'm feeling ill, I'm feeling happy to be here with you guys. Ask us some questions in the comments.
Yeah, man. Or go to our Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
Let us know there, man.
Yeah.
And while you're down there in the comment section, hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out.
It's so warm. I'm sweating.
It is really warm.
I've got some sweat in my eye.
Oh dear! Wow.
Sweat in my eye. It's like stinging. Gross. Gross. Anyway, yeah, WrestleMania 9.
WrestleMania 9.
My eye isn't quite as bad as Hulk Hogan's eye.
It's not in this pay-per-view. That was a really good little segue, dude.
Yeah, that's nice. I know my shit, man. I got it sorted.
Caesar's Palace in Paradise, Nevada, April the 4th, 1993.
Beautiful day.
This marks the first WrestleMania that's been held outdoors. Yeah. They've really gone to town with a set on this one and the sort of precursor to WrestleMania.
Togas and that.
Togas. It's a setup as a Roman Coliseum, which
outside actually, it looks great. I mean, when you see guys like the Undertaker come out, wow, yeah, but you see the Undertaker come out with his crow, whatever that was.
That was really cool.
I mean, it was the first kind of inkling of what we see today, And
this was the first WrestleMania to happen post Raw happening as well. Yeah. So they built up a lot of storylines on Raw that we'll sort of go into as we're going through it. So we'll go straight into it. First of all, Oscar. The manager from Man on a Mission. You can spot him several times in this.
Mabel and Mo. Yeah, obviously.
Viscera.
Yeah, exactly. Attitude Era fans, Viscera. Or Big Vis. The owner of the Visagra move.
Visagra?
Maneuver. He became kind of like a budget version of Mark Henry.
Right, cool.
For a little while,
Well, Oscar the manager is actually in the front row of this WrestleMania, and you can spot him several times, can't you? Especially with the whole Hogan segment at the end, you see him. Apparently, after this WrestleMania, there was a party that happened, and he approached Macho Man and Vince, who were at this party, and started freestyle rapping, and that's how he ended up on WWF programming, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it goes to show if you want to do something in life, just freestyle.
Get out and do it, man.
Freestyle. Well, no, but that's a lie, man. It doesn't work like that. You've got to freestyle.
You got to freestyle. You got to rap.
You got to go and be like, "Yo, with the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast, and I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, I knew where you was going with that.
That's how you succeed in life, ladies and gentlemen.
All of the announcers and stuff come on. They're all wearing togas. There's an elephant that comes down. Cleopatra and...
Excuse me.
What's his name? Caesar come down to announce the event. We're greeted by Gorilla Monsoon at the start and also introduced to Jim Ross.
Indeed.
The first
good old
WWF.
JR.
Good old JR, man. I'm like JR and you're like my Jerry Lawler.
What? Why am I Jerry Lawler?
Because I know how much you love him.
I do not love Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler's watching this. You could take your puppies, mate, and you could shove them.
Jim Ross is in a toga and gold sandals.
Any wrestling fan knows what I mean by that. Not that I want to harm puppies, actual puppies, in any way. I adore puppies, but you'll understand the terminology if you're a wrestling fan.
And this is the first event that Jim Ross has been a part of. He was working... Well, I'll go into a little bit of history about Jim Ross, because we don't normally go into history of the announcers, but he's such a big deal. It's important.
Still going today. I think he's doing stuff with New Japan right now.
He's doing recordings with New Japan at the minute, but he's also working with the WWF since last year. Well, since the Roman Reigns and Undertaker match at WrestleMania.
The WW what?
Oh, WWE. Sorry,
The WWE.
Delightful. So Jim Ross, he was with NWA Wrestling in the tri-state area for first of all, he was a referee between 1974 and 1977. And then after a broadcaster didn't turn up for an event, he ended up going on the broadcasting to cover that and ended up staying with them all the way to 1987. So he'd been broadcasting for sort of 10 years, really. It's a long time. And then after that, because obviously we're in 93 now, he was commentating for Jim Crockett Promotions, which would later become WCW, as we all know.
Yeah.
He joined WWF for this event, and this run in the WWF lasted until 1994, which was when his contract expired, which he just signed before this event.
Yeah.
And it was at this point that he also suffered his first attack from Bell's palsy, which he's had problems with a couple of times. Bell's palsy, for those that don't know, is a type of facial paralysis which causes the inability to control facial muscles. And he suffered with that a lot, hasn't he? I think after his wife died was it last year? It must have been last year now. I think he had another bout of it. It was, it's one of these things that comes on from stress as well. Yeah. He'd briefly become announcer for Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 1994 before coming back to WWF. And the reason he came back to WWF was because Vince was indicted from the American government in 94, which wouldn't allow him to commentate at the time. So there was a commentator down for Raw, and they called Jim Ross to come and stand in for him, which is really cool. And then we get Ross for a long time, and he is amazing. He's one of the greatest commentators of all time.
The best
easily.
of all time, perhaps, yes.
He was once in a match between Triple H and Batista. Do you remember that one? But no, Triple H and Batista helped him win.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
He's been in a couple of matches a few times.
Yeah,
he was in a match at Unforgiven.
Yeah, he had a weird feud with Taz and Raven.
Taz and Raven.
Yeah, when they were in WWE. Yeah, there's a very tasteless feud. But I think it was all for television, but a very tasteless feud between Taz and JR. If you want to look at that, when Taz went into commentary, and they had some matches.
Is this when he had issues with? He had health issues, didn't he? And there was sort of taking the Michael out of this. And was it some problem with his colon or something like that?
There was a few terrible jokes.
We had a match at Unforgiven with Jerry the King Lawler against Al Snow and Coachman, which they won, which meant they were fired. They came back 2 weeks later on Raw, that sort of thing. There was the Kane interview where he's set on fire by Kane, sort of a great introduction to Kane, because Kane won't speak. Teamed with John Cena against Michael Cole and Alberto Del Rio.
That interview was much later.
The Kane one, yeah.
It was when he I think he'd just demasked, hadn't he?
Right. No, I don't think so. I thought he was still masked. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Sorry, I'll have to go back and watch.
We encourage interaction. Somebody correct us.
Let us know. He also sells barbecue sauce.
He does, yeah.
He had his own restaurant for a while, but that closed down.
BBQ, yes.
BBQ sauce, yeah. We should get some of that, man. Try it on the podcast.
I think he does. I think he does online stuff. I think he has an online store.
Cool, man. Caesar and Cleopatra come out back to the event on an elephant. Quite impressive. Don't really like animals being used that way. stands on 2 feet and the crowd cheer. But again, that's not something I particularly like to see because of my own beliefs. But it was creating a spectacle. And the nice thing about the sort of Colosseum feel of it is that gladiators were battling in Colosseums. Like, I wish they'd brought a little bit more of that as opposed to it being hokey Roman. It was more of a reference of these men are gladiators and they're going to sort of battle it out. But,
it's nice. It was definitely a nice feel.
But it feels more like a Roman city as opposed to an arena.
I actually quite like the tackiness of this one.
Do you? Yeah. I quite like it. Yeah, I quite like it. Then Heenan Macho Man comes out with Vestal Virgins, as they're described by whoever was on commentary at the time. He's laying on a throne and being carried out by gentlemen with robes. It was all very dramatic. Then Heenan comes out. This is classic Heenan, isn't it? Comes out on a camel. Yeah. He's actually riding the camel backwards and as he gets to the commentator booth, the camel drops him off and he sort of falls off and falls around a bit, and then Macho Man starts lifting his skirt up and stuff.
It's quite a nice iconic moment there.
Yeah, it's good. It's just visual comedy, isn't it? I mean, Heenan's not going to be with us much longer anyway, but Heenan's moving on to WCW very soon as well. I think this is his last WrestleMania, Colin. And then we get Finkus Maximus, which is what they've decided to call Howard Finkel, who announces the first match.
I don't think he'd ever live that down, you know.
Probably not, no. The weird man in a toga with a mustache.
No, I think he was ripped into for that for a long time.
I can imagine it would have been.
Yeah, I think it was recently recently, as in last year or the last couple of years. It was recreated on the Edge and Christian show. I think it was.
Yeah. Nasty.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I thought good start. You know, like
it sets a theme. It goes on a bit long.
This whole thing has its place. I actually quite liked at least the pomp and circumstance of the event.
It's the future of WrestleMania. It's bringing WrestleMania up to that next level and making it a really special event, which I can get behind, certainly. And it makes it... You've got to remember, this was when Raw was first being shown, so seeing this after Raw was very different.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And in many respects, like a lot of the pay-per-views nowadays, apart from the sort of... Maybe only WrestleMania, I don't even think they do that much special with SummerSlam anymore.
Yeah, no.
Like, the really... You don't really see that identifiable sort of thing, whereas you can see a screenshot from WrestleMania 9 and say that's WrestleMania 9. See a Backlash photo from sort of 99 and you could say that's Backlash 99, you know? Yeah. Into our first match, which is Tatanka with Sensational Sherry versus Shawn Michaels with Luna Vachon.
Yeah, this was, in my opinion, Tatanka's greatest effort.
It wasn't a bad match,
you know, and in terms of his build, you know what I mean. They built him up to be quite. He had the undefeated streak at this time.
Yeah, well, he still did, and obviously there's a bit of a finicky ending, but we'll go into that in a minute.
A finicky ending. Yeah, I mean the whole interaction between Luna and Sherry's really great. Obviously Sherry's like a face at this point, which is interesting.
I wish there was a bit more. I'd say Luna does a great job of.
Luna was fantastic. Like Luna's one of my being through the Attitude Era, I was a massive goth. You know, I still wish
he was only small though. He was a small goth.
I still wish there was a place for guys. You know, for guys like Gangrel, obviously who married to Luna, and Luna. You know, she managed the Oddities and Gangrel and all that stuff. Yeah, Luna was a character that kind of, I guess, you know, inspired the likes of Paige and all these other people that are now kind of more alternative figureheads. She was always a great quintessential heel. Her work with Goldust through the Attitude Era, after he separated with Terry Reynolds, is absolutely awesome.
Way better than Terry Reynolds.
In
my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. But like with Michaels, it was interesting. I mean, obviously Sherry and Michaels were an exceptional duo. And Luna was an odd one, but, you know, it worked, and it worked the dynamic between Luna and Sherry particularly.
Luna did a great job of looking really hideous, and in a good way.
That's what she does.
She was supposed to. But
excuse me, that was her thing, yeah.
For her to look as hideous as she did, and sort of elevate Sherry to this glamorous all of a sudden was actually really impressive.
Yeah.
And Sherry didn't do much different apart from like facially and stuff. Her makeup was the same. She was still as hideous. She was still the Sherry that we knew from Mocho. But Luna did such a great job of being even worse by snarling at the audience all the time and stuff like that. Did you know that her adopted father was Butcher Vachon? Who was a popular wrestler in NWA, the AWA, and Georgia Championship Wrestling. Which
there you go.
WCW.
There you go, man.
She was really close to Andre the Giant. It's a really nice story. Really close to Andre the Giant. And when she passed away in 2010, her ashes were scattered at the ranch that was formerly owned by Andre the Giant.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's how close they were. In the early 90s, she became managers to the Blackhearts with her then husband Tom Nash. Don't know if you knew that one.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
And her future husband, David Heath, which you mentioned, which was Gangrel.
Gangrel,
who's amazing, man.
He is amazing. Yeah, I think he makes a interesting living now.
To be honest, he comes to Hull quite a lot. Every year he comes to Hull and plays Hull City Hall with, I want to say it's All-Star Championship Wrestling or All-American Wrestling or something like that. He's a real nice guy as well.
He's a nice man.
Yeah, very nice man, yeah. Have you met him as well?
I've never met him, no.
He's very
great.
nice.
I'd love to, like, he was a great character. I love the, like I say, I love the vampire thing and all that, there's been pale imitations of what they were doing with him.
Yeah.
Over the years. Yeah. But no one's ever been able to do it. And of course, he was the guy, obviously we're going off topic here, he was the guy that brought Asian Christian into the world.
Absolutely. It's sort of forgotten, really. It's not forgotten, it's not called upon enough.
It'd be nice to have him as a 2K character one time soon.
I'd love it, man. On the old games, the WWF Attitude,
oh yeah, they were great.
Gangrel was on that and he had the entrance with the blood split.
I love the music, man.
Yeah,
the music was great.
Yeah, man. So sorry, back to Luna Vachon. This was her first appearance in WWF, obviously. And after feuds with sensational Sherry and Alundra Blaze, she headed to ECW, where she became the valet for Tommy Dreamer. She had a brief stint against Medusa again. Medusa is Alundra Blaze in WCW and prior to WWF. Continuing the feud in '97 in WCW, but would then rejoin the WWF, becoming the valet of Goldust, which we sort of said. And she had a massive presence.
Did you ever see Goldust's Marilyn Manson dust?
No.
That was a thing. That was a thing.
That's a YouTube search for later.
There you go.
So Luna Vachon comes out. She's got her face paint on, drawn on eyebrows, sort of lightning streaks coming off her eyes.
Yeah.
Studs and leather. Looks like a dominatrix, basically. And ironically, quite similar to what Sherry used to look like, and Sherry's glammed up a little bit here. Tatanka runs in, slowly followed by Sherry. Didn't really get the dynamic between these two.
Yeah,
it was
odd. It was kind of thrown together, I think.
It was a bit, I think. It didn't work. He was very separate to Sherry, I think. This was all about Sherry and Michaels as opposed to anything else. Tatanka was just sort of out of circumstance in there. I mean, they put Michaels on first because Michaels, for the last 3 WrestleManias, was it?
Yeah.
He's always been like the first one on because he brings it,
Mr. WrestleMania even from the early days, man.
He does, man. He does. And this is it's an okay match, from a really poor card. Luna Vachon does a great job of looking hideous. We've talked about that. Michaels is really on top selling form in this match, throwing himself over the turnbuckle before a 360 spin from the apron. He gets punched and 360 spins around and goes down. It's very similar to that Hulk Hogan thing, but it works. It's good. It's good selling. He's a league above everyone else at this point, and you can tell.
Yeah. I think he had a little bit more respect for Tatanka, believe it or not, than he did for Hogan. Than that.
I can probably understand why. I think I've got more respect for Tatanka than Hogan. Nice sunset flip from Michaels from the top rope. Looks nice for this time period, but Tatanka fell on him quite awkwardly. He sort of fell on his legs as he went down. A really silly moment where Michaels is threatening to pull Tatanka's hair, and then the ref spots him, and then he stops and puts his hand behind and then goes for it again. It's a bit hokey, man. It's a bit sort of house showy, not really wrestling at this point. Super kick to Tatanka after he dives off the top rope, plays him out. Nice to see the sort of development of Michael's sweet chin music.
Indeed, yeah.
And this was a nice moment where he sort of hits it off the top rope. Sherry and Luna have a bit of friction outside the ring, but it doesn't really lead to anything. I think that's my problem with it. It's sort of there, but it's it played out later on, and they had a match on Raw.
It's kind of awkward. Yeah, it's kind of awkward here, though, I think.
Yeah, the match on Raw is actually quite good for this time period for female wrestling. So it's quite a good match. Michaels does a really weird move where he climbs a turnbuckle and then sits on top of Tatanka's shoulder. Like, there's no justification for it. He just sort of climbs the turnbuckles and then sits, and it's like, oh yes, he's about to get whatever it was. I think it was a fall-away slam or something like that.
Yeah.
Way too obvious, not sort of leading into the moves as we see these days.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this whole match, even the end, where he gets counted out, that wouldn't really fly these days. And if you look at how Michaels,
oh well, you say that. Look at Shinsuke and AJ.
Well, yeah, but if you look at Michaels these days, and you look at this finish, it doesn't really work.
Tatanka summons the spirits of the Indian Native Americans and starts no-selling all of Michael's double axe handles from
his
the top
own
rope.
version of the old hulking up.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Ooh. And sort of runs around and when he does the Hulk up thing, which I think is really tacky from Tatanka, I really don't like it. It's way too much. Michaels does a real good job of selling it though, and selling it like it is devastating. So that's good, and the crowd were getting into it. So I suppose that's the important part. Catching power slam from Tatanka looks really good. He sort of catches Shawn Michaels from the top rope, swings it straight into a power slam. Really nice. There's a better power slam in this pay-per-view, and it's a really good move. We'll get to it when we get to it. Right, so then Michaels pulls the ref out of the ring. Tatanka gets a follow-away slam and goes for the pin, but the ref has already disqualified Michaels. The announcers announce it as a count-out. I don't think it was. I think it was more because he pulled the ref out. So it was manhandling the ref. I believe the disqualification was for. So Michael keeps the title. Tatanka keeps his undefeated streak, and that's why this sort of funny ending happens, really, so that Tatanka can go on and carry on the streak that he's got. This is a winning streak that's gone on for a long time now, and Michaels doesn't lose at WrestleMania. Keeps the Intercontinental Championship.
Indeed, yeah, and it leads on to a nice little feud with Mr. Perfect after this.
Yes. Luna Vachon clotheslines Sherry and slams her after the match, and then runs off. This is what sort of led to the match on Raw.
Yeah.
And obviously this is the first time we've seen Vachon. Then we have an interview with the Steiners. Anything else to say on that match? It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It was alright, but there's got a lot of good things to say about this match coming up.
One bit in particular, man, brilliant. Interview with the Steiners, going over the game plan before the match. Have you ever noticed at this point, Dom, that Scott Steiner at this time looks like Michael C. Hall with long hair?
Michael C. Hall,
the guy that plays Dexter.
Oh yeah,
he does, man. He looks just like Michael C. Hall with long hair.
Yeah, it's odd. I think the Steiner brothers are some of the most fantastic. Both of them, even though Rick was much less of a transformation. Some of the weirdest and most kind of strange transformations in wrestling history. Both of them go from these almost cruiserweight type, athletic guys. Rick becomes this kind of dog-faced gremlin, as was his thing. This kind of wild, hardcore wrestler with WCW, and of course we all know Scott Steiner becomes Big Papa Pump. Yeah, and he's still going today. He's just been he's
back with TNA
now. Yeah, I mean, one of the most fantastic and strange transformations I've ever seen from this guy. He's doing like Hurricane Ranas.
They're stacked at the minute. They look great.
They look great. I think there was a lot of rumours that they both abused steroids and things like that.
I can't imagine that. From the Attitude Era sort of Scott Steiner,
stuff,
I would imagine
and all that.
Steroids.
I think that was and all that. I think they kind of, they kind of abused, rightly or wrongly, those types of. I suppose it could be rightly, but you know what I mean. I think it took its effect.
Definitely
on both of them. I don't have a clue what Rick is doing now. Rick Steiner. I'm assuming he's on Independence.
I think we talked about it in one of the other videos. I think he's got his own business, but I can't remember what that business is. So this is the Steiner brothers, the match versus the Head Shrinkers with Afa, the manager.
Yeah, man, I love the Head Shrinkers. They scared me a little bit.
Fatu and Samu.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Fatu. You know, there's an incredible legacy with all of them. We've talked about them before. You know, I think this is one of the best matches. This is one of my favourite matches from the card.
Yeah, it is. Between this and
the manoeuvres, the Frankensteiner finish, like everything. I think it really works. It's a New Day and an Usos type dynamic.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good match. It's a really good match. There's a nice spear tackle type move from Scott Steiner, who takes out Fatu early. Obviously not called a spear at this point, but it was a spear.
Yeah.
Giving the Steiners the face advantage from the start. The Head Shrinkers get the heads bashed together outside by the manager. That's not the best tactic in the world, Dom.
No.
Whatever. Scott runs towards Samu, ends up over his shoulders and takes a nasty looking fall to the outside of the ring, where he's greeted by Afa and the giant stick that they both sort of come down with. Fatu does a headbutt.
I love the giant stick.
Yeah, man, they were massive, weren't they? It was like a massive kendo stick.
Definitely worked with the vibe.
With the gimmick, yeah. Although that gimmick's it's too basic.
Could still do it now, though.
Yeah, you probably would get away with it now. So Fatu does a diving headbutt off the top rope, which goes for a pin on Scott Steiner.
Cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to see a headbutt, man.
Yeah, they move really well. And you were right. These guys were doing headbutts.
Yeah.
Way before it was a problem to do a headbutt.
It was. Yeah, there was. It's weird going back and watching this because we don't see that anymore.
Daniel Bryan still does it, right?
Does the diving headbutt?
Daniel Bryan still does it.
I don't think so.
I think he does.
No, he can't do it. Do it. He's got concussion, man.
That's probably where it's from. Yeah, maybe.
They wouldn't let him do that. I can't recall seeing it since he's been back.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, I went to see Daniel Bryan last night at WWE Sheffield Live, which was really cool. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz.
Prelude.
Awesome match,
prelude for things to come.
Yeah, maybe so.
Definitely.
So yeah, Rick's due to break the pin, but even so Fatu does a headbutt off the top rope, then goes for the pin on Scott. Rick is due to break the pin, but he gets there way too late, and the ref sort of counts to 3, but the match continues. You know, it's just a missed spot.
It's a little awkward.
It all carries on, but yeah, it's a good job it didn't stop there because there's a great point in the match. I think that there's a bit of a lull at this point in the match, but it gets better. Scott tries to get the momentum, but it never really pays off to build into the hot tag. When he does get the hot tag, it doesn't really pay off because as soon as he gets in the ring, he's straight away taken out by the Head Shrinkers, so the hot tag sort of means nothing.
Yeah.
A hot tag is all about getting the tag and then the other person dominating for a while. That doesn't happen here, which is a real shame. So, yeah, the awesome move is coming up. So if you can imagine, Fatu, which is Rikishi, puts Rick on his shoulders while Samu climbs to the top turnbuckle. So we've got a guy on someone's shoulders.
That's been done, but they do that all the time.
All the time,
yeah,
all the time, right? This is the awesome bit, right? Samu jumps at Rick, who is still on top of the shoulders. He catches him, and as both men go down, Rick turns it into a power slam. It looks awesome, man. I watched it and had to rewind it and watch it again. It's easily the most impressive move of the night, and one of them spots where it's like, wow, that's really good. I mean, it's probably not done very often because it can go really wrong.
That could go badly. Yeah,
but at this point, that's a wicked move, man. I mean, that saves this match for me. I was great. Like really excited. Yeah. He goes for the pin at this point and doesn't get it. I was gutted. That for me, that was like. Yeah. That was such a big move. Yeah. That could end it.
But then I like the Frankensteiner.
Yeah,
I think it's a great
the Frankensteiner. I thought it was a little bit weakish. I didn't think he sold it that well, but yeah, we can disagree.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it as an end.
So next up we have Doink the Clown versus Crush.
Now Doink. You know, again another one I'd love to see on one of these WWE because. Evil Doink, man. Evil Doink was great.
Doink, yeah.
Good Doink. You know, with the finish here. I mean, he had a well documented feud with Crush, who didn't agree with Doink's antics. Obviously, people were loving. You know, kids. Vince saw a marketable, thing with kids with the clown, and so Doink became this face, and
this is still heel Doink.
And they had great.
No, this is Matt Bond, Doink. This is just prior to
Crush
the
was
song.
Crush was the heel in this.
No, Crush was the face. Definitely. Crush was definitely the face. There was all booing. It comes out in his. It's not the happy music. It's
I don't know. I don't know. I remember thinking Doink, maybe because I was really young.
Yeah,
when I watched,
maybe just
I was really young when I
yeah.
watched this, but I remember really liking Doink.
Yeah, I really liked Doink, but at this point he was still definitely the heel. It was still Matt Bourne Doink.
Yeah.
It was. I think Matt Bourne's got one more pay-per-view before someone else takes over. Before the match, we have an interview with Doink, who is going to. He's put like a Doink mask on Caesar, which is quite ironic. He's sort of doing the whole laughter thing, the evil clown gimmick. Could have been really good, man.
Yeah.
Evil Doink was really good. The match is awful.
Yeah.
But, it's gimmicky as hell, but
that's what
Doink was. And that's okay, at times. I wouldn't say this was entertaining as other times with Doink.
I enjoyed the twin magic thing. I
It
enjoyed the
takes
smashing.
a while to get to it, I think, and it doesn't. The problem with Doink in many respects is that he wasn't. When he was Doink, he wasn't really wrestling. And Crush, I don't think, looked very good in this at all either. Then we see a video of Doink attacking Crush with a fake arm, which comes out again later on in the match. So Crush comes out. He's got his theme song, which is clearly a rip-off of Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. Yeah. He looks like the fourth member of Snap, Crackle and Pop, Rice Krispies, with like a big Crush logo on. It just looks.
Yeah, you're right. He was definitely billed as more when he was the colourful Crush. When he was like DOA, Disciples of Apocalypse, Crush, he was like a badass.
Yeah.
This was face.
This is a mullet and Snap, Crackle and Pop.
Yeah.
And it was a wrong gimmick, and it got changed later on. But yeah, Doink comes out with an umbrella for whatever reason. Was expecting to see that get played into the match, but it didn't. Really standard slow wrestling most of the way through this match. Nothing special. Crush dominates Doink most of the time. Doink flies around, does a sort of way too much, but that's fine. It's sort of Doink. That's the character. The crowd though seemed uninterested, and I think that's what lets it down.
The next few matches, really, I think there's a lull.
It gets worse. Yeah, it gets worse.
Yeah, it gets worse.
I really enjoy Matt Bourne's character work, though. I think the Bad Clown is so much more interesting. The Grimace.
Did you see? I think we've talked about. Did you see his ECW work when post?
No, I haven't watched it.
He became.
He really became Doink, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was like a really bad version of Doink.
He was Matt Bourne, but then he was also Doink again. Yeah.
Right, cool. I think it was a lot of Crush's fault. Like, Crush didn't sell very well. The problem with that is if you attack and you sort of and the other person's selling for you, and then the other person gets the leg up on you and you don't sell, it doesn't make you look any stronger. What you need is that dynamic of looking weak to then come back and be the strong dominant force. By being sort of mid. And this is a bit of a problem, thinking about it, that I've got with Big Cass. I don't think he sells very well at all.
He's in trouble at the minute anyway.
Yeah, well, I have read about that. It's when he beat up the little man.
Yes, he went off script.
He went off script and beat him up.
That was for. I mean, it was a discussion that he had with the guy. But Vince
said no. I just want you to big boot.
On the flip side, Enzo has been cleared, so we expect for him to show up in TNA.
I don't know.
No, man. TNA executives have said they're down.
No, they haven't said yes. They've said we'd be open to it, but if he could fit in our roster. But I don't think he will. And Enzo, Jesus, I mean, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world.
Where else he's going to go?
I think he'll do entertainment of some other sort.
TNA have just signed elsewhere.
Okay, maybe Enzo will be going.
Although there's a wicked new character on TNA. Anyway, off topic.
Off topic, cool.
Have you seen Sue Young? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, dig that.
Dig that. Feuding with Rosemary.
Dig that.
Dig that. Next up, we've got Crush, who gets an awful move on Doink. It's his finisher where he squashes the head, and all the kids in the crowd go, yay, and then he squashes the head. Oh, this is bad, devastating.
I will break out some kind of I'm going to smash you over there.
Very good.
Yeah,
It's just awful, isn't it?
Pour some clown paint and mess you up, dude.
Yeah, Doink gets to the rope and sort of pushes back. As he pushes back, the ref is laid out, and the ref just shatters like glass all over the floor and sort of stays there for a while so that we have the ending to the match. The second clown comes out and starts attacking him with a fake arm. Doink does this. The other Doink comes out and they do this weird. So this is the second clown. I said that, didn't I? That comes out from another ring. They do this weird sort of, oh yes, we're a mirror thing, even though we know we're not a mirror. And actually they allude to it later on in an interview with some of the crowd where they're like, was that a second Doink in the ring? It's like, well, yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
It's a bit like, asking the crowd if the Bellas have like, was that a second Bella or was that your imagination? All of us imagine this. So yeah, Doink then gets a pin on Crush. Heel win, number 1. Dodgy finish, first match.
Yep.
Steiner's face win.
Yep.
And now we have a heel win. Doink, fine, okay.
Yep.
Not a great match.
Nope.
Heenan saying it wasn't 2 Doinks, it was an illusion, whatever.
About to get worse.
Second ref comes down to look under the ring for the second Doink. He's disappeared. Yeah, it was rubbish. Really rubbish. Although I was on Facebook the other day, and there's a group called WWF Vintage.
Right.
They had like this competition going on. So it's like they have all these low mid-card wrestlers in like a list, and people were voting on who should win each match.
Nice.
And the people that they had were like Goldust, Jeff Jarrett, Brutus the Barbie Beefcake, Bossman Rikishi, Al Snow, Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
First match, and Doink as well. Doink was up against Al Snow. Who won?
Al Snow.
Wrong. People voted for Doink, so people do like Doink, man.
Who won the tournament eventually?
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to go over to WWF Vintage to check that out, dude.
There you go.
Doink was out in the next round to Junkyard Dog, which I'm sure you would have totally agreed with.
Yeah, I love JYD.
You love a bit of JYD. Yeah, man. No, it's actually really good, WWF Vintage, so go check them out. Very cool guys. Interview with 2 Japanese men. Big cameras, clearly plants in the audience, whatever. They just talk Japanese to the interviewer, and occasionally Yokozuna.
Is that your...
I'm not going to do a
weird.
bad Japanese accent. I'm just going to go habada habada habada.
That's pretty bad, man. Like,
Habada habada habada, that's fine. That could be any language. Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
It's
Razor Ramon.
To equally or quite a lot worse than that match.
Yeah. Bob Backlund. So.
Right. Yeah. So let's can we speed through this one, man?
Yes.
Bob Backlund is a terrible
first WrestleMania match.
Yeah. Terrible seller, terrible face.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon
doesn't do a very good job here.
Doesn't do a very good job.
No.
Lots of botches from Backlund. Lots of botches from Ramon.
Yeah.
Ramon gets the pin with the roller, with the small package rather.
Yeah.
Don't get to see a Razor's Edge, which is rubbish. Backlund, wants to be a face and he wants to be a good guy, but no one really gives him monkeys, which carried on through his career, even though he's one of the most technically gifted wrestlers of all time.
Well, they've never given him his due.
He didn't really have a character. He never really had a thing.
No, but he's like the 3rd longest reigning champion behind Bruno Sammartino and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And they've always treated him as a bit of a joke.
It's a bit of a joke, yeah.
And that is really sad, man.
Anyway,
no Razor's Edge.
No Razor. So let's move that.
I think the idea was that he beats the wrestler with wrestling, which is what the commentators are going for. But he won it. It was just rubbish. For Razor especially.
None of it came across.
No. And Razor at this point is a heel, so that's second heel win. This is the way we really get the crowd to enjoy the pay-per-view, by giving them lots of heel wins. Next match is Money Inc. with IRS and Ted DiBiase, of course, who are the tag team champions. Yeah,
this was playful, man. Like, you know what? I know.
Dude, it's awful.
I know, but it appeals to.
Here's a question: was that last match the worst match on the card? No, I know. It gets worse. Yeah, it does get worse. And I thought this was awful. But so again, Money Inc. versus the Mega Maniacs, which is Brutus Beefcake and Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart. This is for the tag team championships. Hulk Hogan's been away acting. He's come back and he's looking very thin, very frail. Got a big black eye.
Well, I don't think he's looking frail. He looks He looks better than he's ever looked, I think.
Yeah,
except for his black eye.
The steroid trial thing
may or may not have been Macho Man Randy Savage, but you know.
Yeah, well, there's rumours that it was Macho Man Randy Savage. There's rumours that the storyline is that it happened outside a gym and it's Money Inc. that's paid someone to go beat them up. He's got in a fight. It looks really rough though, man. It's like proper. His whole white of his eyes.
I mean,
black.
you've got the Brutus the Bad Beefcake again. I think another guy like Tatanka. This may have been one of his best moments.
No. This whole match is awful, man.
I don't know, man. There's definitely a place for it in Mania history because it's a typical WrestleMania match appealing to the fans.
Yeah.
You know, even though they don't win,
rubbish, man.
Even though the team don't win.
So there's an interview with DiBiase and IRS before the match starts. We get to see video footage of IRS pushing Jimmy Hart away because, of course, Jimmy Hart was with Money Inc. Before attacking Beefcake with his briefcase, which apparently damaged his face, which is why he's going to wear this mask at WrestleMania.
Which is, kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although it gets used in the match, which is, you know...
Oh,
okay,
dude.
Go on, you do it, because we're going to disagree on this one.
Really? You're going to say this was a good match?
I'm not saying it's a good match, I'm just saying there was some WrestleMania spots.
There was some... I agree, spots. But it was awful. DiBiase says that Las Vegas is his city, a city of money. Quite a clever little correlation, because it's at Las Vegas at the minute. Yeah. IRS says Hogan has been in an accident coming out of the gym last night, trying to explain his black eye. Probably Macho Man twatted him, I think.
Yeah.
Boom. Macho. Are you Team Macho or Team Hogan?
Macho.
Good. I wish he'd hit him harder.
I
wish this event never happened. I wish Hulk Hogan couldn't perform.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had a bit of Hogan overload.
I think so. He's not in it much longer though, so that's good. DiBiase looks really great, man, as he's coming down in the ring. White suit.
About to retire as well.
About to go to New Japan and about to retire, and then WCW later on. But he did the last of his wrestling career in New Japan, I believe. Obviously, huge pop when Hogan comes out. Right, Beefcake. Yeah, he's wearing yellow and red, right? He shaved a bit of the gobbledygooker's costume off and put it under his arms, right? Like really tacky, awful windbreakers. He's wearing a mask. He looks like the Red Rooster, Red Rooster's WrestleMania outfit, man.
It's pretty terrible, man.
It looks diabolical, dude. It just.
I mean, the mask was okay.
Yeah,
but and then
it was too big.
DiBiase selling hitting the mask, with the fist drop and all that. That was interesting.
Yeah, man,
that was cool. I mean, DiBiase's selling skills were
of course they were. Yeah, but even for DiBiase, this didn't entertain me.
IRS is like the consummate heel. I mean, I don't know, man. I had some time for this in WrestleMania history.
Dude, no. The music continues to play as DiBiase and IRS go to attack Hulk Hogan. I hate it when they do this. If a wrestler attacks, you press stop on the CD player, right? They don't, because Hogan and that is just going to throw him out, which makes no sense. It means, this isn't actually a fight, because we're going to continue to throw them both out, and then they continue with the posing and the ripped shirt and stuff. It's just... It's rubbish to build a match up. It was really thin. I think the time he was thinner was when he was in WCW with the whole Past the Mania thing. Mm-hmm. He was really thin then. His eye looked awful. Got cut across his eye as well, so he's got some tape covering the cut up. Nowadays, you wouldn't get away with wrestling like that, would you? No. Beefcake starts with IRS. DiBiase goes for a double axe handle onto Beefcake's face, but he sells that it's hurt DiBiase instead, which is quite nice. Yeah. Alright, I'll agree, that was okay. Faces get a lot of attacks. This is the real problem with the match, including Hogan, who finger pokes IRS, not the finger poke of doom, but pokes him in the eye. That's the heel move, man. Well, what are you doing?
Hogan can get away with it, man, because, he's Hogan.
Yeah, because he's Hogan. Oh, he's allowed to get away with it. So $1 Million Inc. start to walk up the ramp to disappear. The ref makes an announcement. If they don't get back here,
send them back, then
they will lose their titles. That's not a rule, Dom. We've seen that play out in other times. Like the Usos did it really well at one point.
One rule for the heels, man. One rule
Jesus.
for the faces.
Yeah, it seems like the acting experience hadn't helped Hogan at all, and he still can't sell. At some points, like he gets punched and goes the other way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you could tell that he'd been out of wrestling, right, for a while, and this was even worse. You know what I mean? The $1 Million Dream is put on. Yay!
I like that move. I think it's a great move.
It's a great move, and what that means in a Hogan match is we're getting 5 minutes of rest hold and Hogan coming back up and then going...
Doing the, the shaking.
Yeah, and then goes back down.
Yeah.
5 minutes, man. That's not wrestling.
No, it's pretty bloody slow.
Hogan powers out of it, then during the ref distraction, Brutus puts the sleeper hold on DiBiase. Both men start counting out for 10. Hogan completely rips off the Undertaker sit-up at this point on 8. Like, that is Undertaker's sort of signature. Hogan does it, and I'm like, dude, this is the same guy you was taking a dump on from a really high height at Survivor Series, and then this Tuesday in Texas.
Yeah.
And now you're ripping him off as well. Dude, made me angry. DiBiase attacks Brutus with a beefcase to get the advantage. The problem is in this whole match, there's no interest in wrestling moves. Like it's all this sort of story stuff. But there's right. Here's a good example. Right, Ronda Rousey at Thingy was a great match, and it had wrestling and
Mania.
Exciting spots and Mania.
Past Mania.
It was great. Right, there wasn't a lot of wrestling going on, but there was enough to sort of tell it. This with 4 guys that should know what they're doing had nothing. DiBiase takes off Brutus' match, which you've doing, and then Brutus looks like Phantom of the Opera. Yeah.
Could have been.
Oh, he can't see.
Could have been so much more.
He's took the mask off and he can't see, so he's swinging the air.
He did that a lot, though. He did that a lot, even when he could see.
Yeah, no, he did actually. You're right.
He would do that
for
his fight back. He would do that.
Oh, I can't see. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Or if he was being beat down, he would.
Yeah. Rubbish. Ref goes down. Hogan attacks DiBiase with IRS and IRS with Brutus's mask. Yeah. That's such a heel move.
Doesn't matter.
But the ref can't count the pin, so Jimmy Hart comes in and counts the pin. The two celebrate with the titles. It's quite good how Jimmy Hart sort of reveals the ref, so he takes off his jacket, turns it inside out, and it's got the stripes. That's quite cool.
That's nice, yeah.
The two celebrate, but obviously it's not official. Hulk and Brutus got disqualified, and DiBiase and IRS keep the titles. I don't actually know why they got disqualified. I don't care. Yeah. It was just really rubbish. Yeah. And I'd spent 20 minutes watching this bag of not very good stuff.
Not very good stuff.
I wasn't going to go back and rewind and watch 3 more goddamn minutes of it. Hulk and Brutus threaten the ref then. Pick him up.
That's okay because
the bases. And Jimmy Hart throws him out the ring.
That's
faces.
Okay.
Then we get the Real American theme, because that's what Real Americans do, beat up officials. It was a mess, man. And then Hogan and Brutus pose off for 5 minutes. What a waste of time, man.
Mania moment, that one.
Yeah, but here's a good point, right? They've not put Hogan in the main event. That's what we've wanted to see for ages. Yeah, Hogan isn't in the main event. Great.
Yeah.
Hogan decides to insert himself in the goddamn main event as well. What's going on, dude?
Well, Hogan,
Oh, they open up the briefcase that IRS has got and reveal a brick and go, oh, it's a brick. Oh, that's funny because he carries a brick in his suitcase. And then reveal some money, which they then steal and throw to the crowd.
Because that's what real Americans do.
Faces! Real Americans do not steal money from briefcases.
Real Americans, I mean these people.
Oh, right. You just said that's what real Americans do.
These people.
Hulk and,
Hulk and Brutus. No.
Not Americans. You're not saying Americans
that's
are
a
thieves.
massive generalisation. I love Americans.
Good, man. Macho sits on commentary. At this point, I'm looking at Macho and what we've just sort of seen. I'm thinking, God, I wish he was still in that ring, man, and still working at this point. But unfortunately, not. Yeah, can you imagine how amazing this WrestleMania, Macho Man and Shawn Michaels, man?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been perfect for this WrestleMania.
Great, yeah.
An interview with the CEO of Caesar's Palace does a load of business sort of smoothing. It's been great advertising for Caesar's Palace and blah, blah, blah. The WWF have been a wonderful company to work with and blah, 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 blah. Great.
Yep, on the payroll, baby.
On the payroll, baby. Next match, we have the first match.
Can we also go quickly through this, man?
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about Lex Luger because we haven't talked about him yet. We've seen him a few times, but yeah, Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect is next. So Lex Luger started off his career as an American football player, who actually played for Tampa Bay Bandits with another wrestler. Do you know who that wrestler was?
Cool.
Ron Simmons. Boom.
Cool.
Damn. He'd eventually retire from football and go into wrestling. In 1985, he started working in NWA, but it wasn't until he started wrestling in WCW between 87 and 92 that he started to use the nickname of the Total Package. Obviously, later on in his career, during the first
he was like the narcissist
Monday Night Nitro, he went back to...
He was a narcissist for a little while.
He was a narcissist here, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think he had another nickname as well.
His finisher. What do you think about Lex Luger's finisher? I used to love the torture rack. I still quite like it.
Yeah, I think Strowman does a decent one these days. And there's very few people that can do it well.
Well, I mean,
believably.
Bella's neck break. What was it called?
I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, I know what you mean.
That was sort of a torture rack into a drop, wasn't it? I quite like the torture rack. I think it looks like a good submission move and stuff like that. Yeah, he was in the Four Horsemen, actually, as well, after Anderson was kicked out of the group. He had title success winning the United States Heavyweight Championship and WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And he was a big deal before even coming to the WWF. Yeah. Obviously, he was in the WBF as well, which was a Vince McMahon-owned company, the World Bodybuilding Federation. But that had just folded, and Luger was taking time off due to a motorcycle accident.
Left him with a steel plate in his arm.
Yeah, apparently so. Yes. When he came back, he was put into the WWF. Yeah.
Which he used a couple of times.
Yeah, there's the whole gimmick in this match about the arm being steel and having steel in it. It's sort of a shoulder, isn't it?
Yeah, and he basically just runs at you with an elbow.
Although he started as a heel, so he's like the narcissist at the minute, he'd eventually become one of the biggest faces in the company. And after Hogan left, they were trying to reposition Lex Luger as the face of the company and the new All-American, which included storylines like the Lex Express and stuff like that.
Yeah, which went really well for a time.
Yes, yeah. Although he never reached the heights of Hogan.
The character, did he?
No, and he didn't. He wasn't charismatic enough to pull that off.
Talking about dramatic changes. We've seen him nowadays. It's like,
yeah, man.
Like, you know, like you look at. I mean, Scott Steiner's got to be a similar age. And it's you know, like
completely different. Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's lost all of his muscle. He looks very feeble now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But that's fair enough. That's what happens when we get old. Well, I've heard.
Yeah. We're gonna be fine.
So right, you want to run through this match? We have an interview with Mr. Perfect at the start. Lex Luger isn't perfect. Real perfection doesn't need to carry a mirror with him. Perfect struggles to say the word narcissist before sort of walking out. He's just a narcissist, and then just sort of walks off. Lex Luger comes down with some scantily clad women. Man, this was a attitude shot if ever I've seen one. Definitely not PG. Definitely didn't leave a lot to the imagination.
Indeed.
As they climb in the ring steps, the camera sort of stays behind them and just like. Yeah. And Vince backstage, right? He's got Lex Luger, his bodybuilding man, with his scantily clad woman.
Yeah, he was loving it.
Can you show me an example of what Vince's face was? Is that what it was? You did that before I even asked. That's great, man. That's great.
I've seen him do that face.
Have you? Oh, was that when he was about to mount you?
What, Vince?
Yeah. The girls all hold mirrors around for when he gets into the ring. They've got these weird sparklers on top, but it sort of gives Lex that sort of bigger than life appeal, I suppose. Mr. Perfect spits his gum at Lex Luger as soon as he gets into the ring, spits at him. Jim Ross seems to stumble his words. The commentary team, you know, Jim Ross, love him. I don't think any of the commentary was great tonight. I think it was a bit all over the place at times. Don't know if it was the heat or what.
We have seen better.
We have. Luger's got all knockouts in each of his matches so far. Perfect was a good worker, catches Lex's leg and does a knee drop on his leg that looks really nice.
Yeah.
That Lex sells the leg for the majority of the match. It was okay. We get the chops in the corner. When Luger gets the offense, it goes really slow. The commentators are trying to sell the whole Luger arm thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's swinging his arm into the back of Perfect, and the whole thing is like, oh, he's got a metal thing in his arm, so it really hurts. But it looks weak.
It doesn't translate very well.
It looks like he's patting him on the back, man.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something like that, hit it across his face, or really sell it as Perfect. It didn't work.
No.
Lex tried to get a dirty pin early on, but got caught. The match was really slow, and then Perfect gets the offense. We see some wrestling moves, but only for a while.
Some good drop kicks from
Perfect was great, but it's one his greatest moment. Lex rolls over Perfect for the pin, but both of Perfect feet are on the rope. It was a really, really weird pin. The ref obviously doesn't see it. After the match, he hits him with his forearm and knocks Perfect out, which he sold quite well for what it was. Perfect runs backstage to attack Luger, who is talking to Michaels.
Yeah, and then Michaels
comes. We get like plastic bins thrown at each other.
It's pretty good.
It feels
like an Attitude Era hardcore match almost.
Yeah, man. I think it looks at one point like Perfect gets the side of a bin in his head. You know what I mean? But it looks rough and sort of builds up the next feud. So there we go, another heel win, man.
Yep.
I mean, like the crowd must have been so
I think
angry.
it was all building up for that wonderful main event we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Actually, the next two matches kind of, I guess, go well with the WrestleMania formula of trying to make the fans happy first and foremost.
Really? What, this next match?
What Taker and Gonzalez?
Yeah. How does that make anyone happy?
Well,
Chlorophyll.
People love the Taker. People loved Undertaker.
When
he came back.
Yeah.
When he came back and kicked off. And
So the problem with all these sort of heel wins, right, is what we see these days is we see sort of a mix of heel and face, and you need that dynamic.
Yeah.
You can't just have and this is a great example of a pay-per-view where all the heels win and it becomes really slow, methodical and boring.
Yeah.
Macho and Heenan get into an argument which nearly brings them to fisticuffs. With everything else that was going on backstage, though, this again felt a bit messy. So the next match, we're moving on to The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Giant Gonzalez with Harvey Whippleman. Mm-hmm. Right, here we go. Whew, bad match. Giant Gonzalez, full bodysuit, drawn on hair.
Yeah, it's an odd one. It's an odd one. I mean, he has a longer run than you would think he would have. Same with the Great Khali. Longer run than you think he would have. Yeah. He goes on to be a face for a little while, but he has no character really. The facial thing you talked about. I mean, The Undertaker does his best. I mean, not so much these days, but The Undertaker can make a lot of people look very good.
Yes.
And look very destructive.
Yeah, I mean, the character's all there to work, but it doesn't work. Undertaker entrance is really good, though. Yeah. Sort of iconic with the vulture as he's coming in, the green smoke, and Paul Bearer. Actually, quite a good image of The Undertaker there. Classic image.
Yeah.
On a chariot pulled by two of Caesar Palace staff, stands The Undertaker with a vulture next to him. Undertaker is hit back by Gonzalez, but stands straight back up to him. The two almost look like they're going to kiss.
I like that.
What you wanted to see him kiss?
No, I like the moment where he stands straight back up.
Okay. I mean, it makes a good photo, but I suppose, yeah. The Undertaker starts punching Gonzalez, who can't sell anything without looking like a cartoon character, especially wearing a cartoon bodysuit, man. And his face is just like, hey, whoa. It's poor, man. It's poor. Giant Gonzalez low blows Undertaker whilst they're both choking each other in the corner. The worst sell job of an old school ever. Mm-hmm. Like, Undertaker goes for old school. Was it called old school at this point?
It was. Well, I don't know. No, it wouldn't have been called old school at this point, but yeah.
I wonder when it
rope
walk.
Breaker thing.
Cool.
Rope
old school.
Rope arm breaker thing. Yeah, okay.
It doesn't even go down. It's just weird, man. So
he
Giant
stumbles
Gonzalez
around a bit. Yeah, looks rubbish.
Giant Gonzalez chokes the Undertaker. Nothing happens at all for ages. Gonzalez keeps punching the Undertaker. He gets back up. The Undertaker goes to choke Gonzalez, his manager, and this is whilst Gonzalez headbutts the air around Paul Bearer's head, which knocks him down because he was nowhere near Paul Bearer's head. Okay, fair enough.
Quite shameful, really.
Then Gonzalez does what every wrestler does at this point when he's losing. He gets out a rag with chlorophyll in it and sticks it on the Undertaker's face, and the Undertaker passes out.
There you go.
So Undertaker's
but of course,
won every WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
That's only because Gonzalez got disqualified here.
Indeed.
In a really weak moment.
Yes.
Can you imagine if Gonzalez had won this? And the streak would never have been.
Yeah. Never been a thing.
Yeah. It's just awful. So I don't know what happened. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. It's terrible.
So Taker comes back basically, and
well, he gets taken out on a stretcher by people wearing togas.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to have first aid people here.
No.
We're going to have the characters as togas take out the Undertaker. No. Giant Gonzalez chokeslams Lebner in the ring. That was probably the most sort of impactful move of the entire match.
Nice moment.
Well, he does sell it quite well, actually. Sort of feet flying around
Hebner. Hebner was great.
The crowd at this point are chanting for Hogan. This could have... If Hogan had come out here, I wouldn't have been as mad as I am at the end of this WrestleMania. The Undertaker bells tolls and he comes back into the ring for a couple of clotheslines. So Gonzalez gets him down and then that's it. Yeah. Right? The war is not over between these two monsters. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Next match. God, it's awful, isn't it? Next match. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji versus Bret Hart.
Like I said, I've told this, but I loved Yokozuna.
Yeah, it's hard to go back and
later
watch him,
on, but this, it's hard to go back and watch. I mean, obviously, great dynasty of performers within that family.
The Samoans, the
Samoans, and the like I said, they're all interconnected. Reigns and Usos and all that. They're all interconnected together, and Yoko was an incredible performer for his size. But this match, I mean, Bret does wonders. Probably he makes a 1-star match into a 2-star match for me.
He tries.
Yeah, I mean he does well. But there's we've just seen the referee spot Lex Luger and Mr. Perfect's feet on the ropes, but excuse me, but he can't spot. When Mr. Fuji chucks the white powder into the eyes of Bret Hart. Which
man, that's the end of the match. It's poor. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Well, it's the same with the Perfect. Like when Perfect gets rolled up by Luger and he's got the feet on the ropes, and earlier on in the match he's seen the feet on the ropes and called him out for it.
It's crazy,
weird, man.
And Bret keeps the pace, which is nice, but Yoko is the dynamic between the two of them is a challenge.
We start off seeing a video of Yokozuna doing multiple banzai drops to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. People were really upset about that.
He attacked him, hadn't he?
Yeah, you see people in the crowd actually really visually upset that the All-American hero has been beat, and which is quite good. The banzai drop was killer, man. I mean, it looked great. If it had gone wrong, you'd be dead, but, At the contract signing for the match, Yokozuna has banzai dropped Bret Hart. Mean Gene interviews Hulk. Why? Why do we have an interview with Hulk right now?
Well,
right. So whoever wins, he's going to challenge him. He wants to be the first one to challenge him. I don't even know why he was there.
Of course, that doesn't possibly mean at the same pay-per-view, because who does that? It means at a future pay-per-view, right? Because that's what the WWE do. They like to build for future events.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no, we'll just blow our load here.
Yeah. Anyway.
An interview in the audience with a kid who has rather large ears. The interviewer refers to him as Prince Charles's ears. Wow. That's a bit harsh.
Nice.
A bit harsh, poor kid. The kid just sort of doesn't say it, it's weird. And then they talk to two jocks who just pretend to wrestle each other. Which actually their wrestling in the audience was probably better than half of this card. Yokozuna enters with Fuji and some geishas in the ring who give him flowers. I didn't really get the whole giving flowers thing, but whatever. Bret comes out to a great pop from the audience. Good, cool. Bret takes an early lead, but a huge shoulder block knocks him out of the ring. Bret ties Yokozuna's legs into the rope to get the advantage. It's quite interesting, an interesting way to fall the giant, if you like. So and it looks good. And Brett really took advantage of it, doing moves to Yokozuna, going to the top rope, jumping off that to do it. That worked. His ring psychology, it worked for a big man like that. But the entire match is Yoko holding Brett, sort of dominating Brett, and then Brett will have a little flourish, and then Yoko will use... He'll normally get a flourish because he'll use his Yokozuna's own body against him, so he'll either run into the turnbuckle and then fall back or something like that. I mean, it's okay. It's just not... Brett couldn't do...
Flashes of Brett's genius here, but
Yeah, but he was working with a big, slow guy.
Who had a lot to learn.
Yes, Brett rips off the turnbuckle and smashes Yokozuna's head going into it. Then he goes into the sharpshooter with Yokozuna. Now that's quite cool, man, because Yokozuna had big, chunky legs, and it looked good. It did look good. It looked like he had the proper arch on the back. Until Fuji throws a salt in his eyes, Yokozuna, because Brett's sort of going blah blah blah, falls, and Yokozuna gets pinned, and that's the end of that match.
Wait, but there's more.
Here's the problem, right? New generation wrestlers, right? We're going into a new generation. We've got a steroid trial going on, really bad for business. We've got this guy who's not on steroids, who's doing really good work. People love him. We're not gonna let him win against Yokozuna. It feels wrong. It feels really wrong after all of them things. Now, the reason for it is Hulk. We've got Hulk back after he's come back from acting, so we're gonna use him as the face of the company again. But this was the wrong move, man. Mm-hmm. This was the time to give it to Brett and let him work with it. Thankfully, they recovered from it, but it nearly wasn't that way.
Yeah, it could have destroyed him. Yeah.
So Hulk comes out, and Fuji, for whatever reason, says, "Okay, Hulk Hogan,
right now,
we have a match,"
which never happens.
No, I mean, there's no incentive for it. It makes no sense.
Well, it's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, it's Hulk Hogan's backstage bloody politics. And then as they're going out, and I sort of hate seeing this, like Brett says to Hogan, "Yeah, go."
But realistically,
you're thinking, right, because Brett.
He didn't know. Yeah, he didn't know.
Brett expected to win.
Yeah, he didn't know he was going to drop the title till like a day before.
No, he didn't know that he'd lose the match. He'd already dropped the title, but he didn't know that he was going to lose the match to Yokozuna. And then Hulk comes into the next match. Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna.
Just comes in and completely
all
dominates.
that stuff that we said about Hulk Hogan not headlining?
Yeah.
How happy it is to see him
Yokozuna had just dominated, one of the greatest talents of all time.
Yeah.
And then Hulk Hogan comes in, doesn't matter, he's got his big boot, and he gets his leg drop.
So Fuji goes, Yokozuna holds Hulk Hogan, and probably a couple of fist punches or something.
Yeah.
Yokozuna holds Hulk Hogan, Mr. Fuji grabs the salt, throws the salt towards Hogan's dodgy eye.
No one saw that coming.
Hogan moves out the way. It goes in Yokozuna's eye. Falls. Hulk
like a big
goes,
giant.
Leg drop. Boom. We have a new champion.
Yeah.
Yay.
WrestleMania
moment. What a way to screw over all the guys, Shawn Michaels, all these guys that were working
that's
so well.
That's what they need to do. That's how you get Roman Reigns over.
Yeah. But it's sort of, isn't
you have Daniel Bryan. You have Daniel Bryan win the title or something, and then you have him lose the title to
Roman Reigns. Yeah, what a great idea!
Exactly, yeah.
What a great idea!
Roman Reigns comes in last minute and takes the title.
So that's it. That's the
there you go. That's us
waste of time.
Us booking for you guys, WWE. That's how you get Roman Reigns over. That's it.
Yeah, do a Hulk Hogan.
In
how many guest stars?
In short, guys, don't really. I'm going to give this 1.5.
Jesus, that's way too high.
1.5.
That's way too high.
Man, I enjoyed seeing Doink, and I enjoyed seeing the Steiner brothers.
It's not Doink's best moment. It's the Steiners are okay, but it's not.
1.5. What are you doing?
Half a star, man. Half a star. I think this is without sort of question the worst WrestleMania. It's known as that. I'm not gonna break the sort of rules. It was a really bad time for WWF. They were losing a lot of people. Time was moving on. However, WrestleMania 10 is a year away. One of the greatest WrestleManias,
Yeah.
And that's only a year away. And there was so many mistakes in this, but maybe you just needed that stinker for a good one the next year. Best match for me, I think, goes to Michaels and Tatanka. I think I found that slightly more entertaining than Steiner Brothers. What's your best match?
Steiner Brothers.
Steiner Brothers, yeah, cool. It's fair enough. I wouldn't say they were great. I'd go back and watch that Steiner move on YouTube, though, if you can find it.
Absolutely.
It's awesome, man. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And best performer for me goes to Rick Steiner for the Amazing Power Slam.
I would say best performer goes to...
You going to say Brett?
Perfect Brett or Steiner.
Yeah, I didn't think both.
They're all
but Brett sort of makes the most out of a bad situation.
Oh, freaking second doink.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into our new segment, which is questions. So we're going to answer questions.
I just like the fact we've got questions. That's nice.
That's awesome, man.
Makes me feel special.
Please write more, and we'll quite happily answer them.
This dodgy little tissue here won't always be here. It's just because I'm really ill. So don't let that cloud your judgment of our podcast.
So get ready to butcher some surnames. I'm going to read out one question this time, which is one we like. If you want to write a question, comments down below. Like,
anything,
subscribe
we'll
to the video.
Favorite colours, anything. Favorite, sleeping arrangements. Like, do you sleep on the left side or the right side of the bed? I'll take any questions, anything at all.
Okay.
I'm an open book, man.
You are an open book. Susan Renee, who's a really great supporter of the channel. She's
Thank you.
We have got some really great people. Gareth, Stuart, Lee.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that really interact a lot, and that's great. And it makes us. It keeps it worthwhile.
Yeah, because
obviously,
there's
it really does.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort, to do it. Like with everybody doing a podcast on YouTube and putting these videos together. You guys, I know it's the cliche thing, but thank you for watching, because it gives us makes us feel special, and all anybody wants is to feel special in life.
So Susan Renee has said, I really enjoyed the review of this pay-per-view. This was the SummerSlam 92 pay-per-view, and as usual, you guys are so funny. Oh, that was nice of her. Just wondering, what was the first WWF pay-per-view you remember watching live as a kid? I watched this with my sibling, and we both really loved it, and it was cool. It was in the UK. While my favourite match was Match vs Warrior, as I said, Susan runs the Macho Man the Greatest webpage. Big fan of Macho Man, and great. That Facebook page is great, man. Great source of information. Like, I was reading a great article that she put up there recently about Macho Man's baseball career before he went into wrestling. Really interesting stuff. She really picks out some good stuff to share. So she also goes on to say, while my favourite match was Match vs Warrior, I thought Brett vs Davey was excellent, we agree it was great. Excellent. She also loves Shawn Michaels versus Rick Martel with Sherry there too, of course. It was a good story, man. That SummerSlam 92 is a great pay-per-view. Yeah. That was only a few months before this one. Keep up the good work and look forward to the next one. Well, thank you very much for commenting. So the question there was, what was the first pay-per-view you remember watching live as a kid?
Live, as in staying up late.
Well, this is the thing, because we're in the UK.
My grandma used to tape it for me.
Did she? Right. And what was your first pay-per-view that you watched?
No, man, I couldn't. It was around this time. It was around this time. I remember watching the highlights of this and leading into a bunch of other stuff. It was a Survivor Series, I think. It was Brett. I remember the first thing, because I got really emotional.
It was Brett and Bob Backlund.
Brett and Bob Backlund.
Right, so that's the Survivor Series coming up, isn't it?
I cried a little bit, yeah. I cried a little bit because because Bob Backlund locks in that not crossface. Chicken wing.
I can't wait for you to watch it again.
The chicken wing.
It goes on forever.
And Owen's going to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's
good stuff. Good match.
It was.
I think the first pay-per-view, again, like in the UK, for us to watch a pay-per-view, it'd have to be like 12. It normally starts at midnight here.
It used to be on Channel 4, I think.
In 97, Channel 4, which is one of the UK analogue channels as opposed to digital, because everything was shown on sort of Sky, they had a deal with WWF, which I think was stopped because of Mae Young getting her boobs out at one of the events.
Right.
And they didn't expect it. It was a puppies contest match or something awful like that. Attitude, yay. So the would show the occasional pay-per-view there. I never had Sky as a kid, so I didn't see any sort of as a kid. The one that I did sort of have was a VHS of the 93 Royal Rumble, and we sort of played that to death. And this 93 period was the same time that the WWF came to Hull. In one of the very few times WWF has come to Hull.
Well, it's only been once, right?
I've heard rumours it was back in 2004, but I really don't know.
Wow, you should check that. Should we check that?
Yeah, well, I don't think you'll find it straight away, but yeah, we can have a look. If you was there, let us know, man. That'd be cool to know. But yeah, that's it for this podcast. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. 2005, the WWF was in Hull.
WWE Raw WrestleMania Revenge Tour at the Hull Ice Arena.
Yeah, I did hear that it was, but I wasn't watching.
Main event was Shawn Michaels versus Muhammad Hassan. No, Batista defeated Triple H and Ric Flair in a handicap match.
Oh, okay, cool.
And there was also Shawn Michaels was there. Kane,
Shawn Michaels
Edge,
was there when we saw it in '93.
Shelton Benjamin, Chris Jericho, Benoit, Rob Conway, Undertaker, Viscera.
Yeah, and we saw Undertaker and Yokozuna in a casket match.
Regal and Tajiri.
Cool. Well, let's sign out, Dom. So thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like button. And
good to be
what do you want people to do?
Keep it gay.